As Elon Musk prepares to slice and dice through the US public service, the tech entrepreneur has met with Australia's wealthiest person, Gina Rinehart, at Mar-a-Lago. The pair discussed Elon's plans to address government efficiency in the Trump administration, just like he did at Twitter when he got rid of about 80% of the company's staff. Now, Gina Rinehart is suggesting we should do a similar thing down under. For their take, let's bring in Housing Minister Clare and Shadow Finance Minister Jane Hume. Good morning. Clare, is our public service too big? Do we need an Elon-type figure to cut it down?
Well, Nat, Australians should get a chill up their spine when we see a couple of billionaires getting together to talk about efficiencies in public services. What that really translates to for your viewers is drastic cuts to health and education and other services that we ordinary Australians rely on.
Why
now, don't
does
think
it,
that
though?
this
Don't
has
they
no
talk about the
relevance
people
here in
running
Australia. Because, Nat, the government does some incredibly important things. It looks after our sick children in hospital, it educates our children, it pays for aged care for Australians. And these are abstract things to billionaires who can pay their own way, but for ordinary people, these are meaningful and important things in their lives. Now, this is important because, unfortunately, Peter Dutton has said that he is going to make $300 billion of cuts to our public services here in Australia.
That's
the problem
nonsense.
is he won't tell us where and why and when.
Okay.
And it is really
Absolute
important
nonsense.
that we get these answers before the election. We're about to come into an election period. Peter Dutton is going to make drastic cuts to public services and he needs to fess up and tell us what they are.
OK, a lot of people might be sitting there in their lounge rooms today thinking, well, OK, he's got to be, I mean, whether you like Elon Musk or not, but if someone gets to be a billionaire, they may know how to make money, they may know how to cut waste. Let's give them a go. Jane, what do you think?
Well, I think that was enormously disrespectful of Clare. You don't get to be the world's richest man and Australia's richest woman by accident. You get there because you've got some ideas about how to be efficient and how to be effective and how to be profitable. And that's exactly what, I wish that government would spend taxpayers' money more widely, and so should you. In fact, there's 36,000 additional public servants that have come on board since this government began. 36,000. Now, that's at costs of billions of dollars. And I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily feel 36,000 public servants better served than I did just 2 years
Which ones
ago.
will you be cutting?
Well, 36,000, I'd be very interested to see exactly what it is that they're doing. Are they frontline services? Are they white collar? Are they working from home? What are they doing, Clare, that's serving Australians so much better? In fact, one of my colleagues, James Stevens, has already done some analysis of the waste that has occurred in the spending under this government. And there's a website now called underlabor.com.au that covers things like the 36,000 additional public service. It covers $170 million on taxpayer-funded advertising for tax cuts that you were already getting anyway. It even covers the $620,000 being spent on a special speechwriter for Bill Shorten to make him sound more empathetic
we're
when
not
he
going
talks
to drill
about
down
NDIS.
into all the examples. I just think people at home might be open. I mean, everyone, we know you have to run the government, but maybe people are interested in drilling down on exactly where the money's going. Maybe we should be open to that.
I think that's a very good idea.
What you think at home. Moving on, Australia's immigration intake is in the spotlight this week, with the nightly newspaper publishing this front page, calling Australia a crowded house, and an opinion piece by Jenny O'Dowd declaring it is time to shut the borders. It comes as 49% of people in this country in a recent survey say they think immigration is too high because of economic and housing issues. Clare, when our housing and economy is already under so much pressure, is it time to rethink our immigration strategy entirely? You guys promised to cut it. It seems to be rising.
Actually, Nat, migration rates are starting to come down, and that's a really big and important thing that our government is doing. Unfortunately, we reached peak hypocrisy here in Canberra this week, where our government has put forward a bill to cap the number of international students. Now, international students are the biggest driver of what has increased in immigration in recent years. It's really important that we bring those numbers back down again. That's exactly what our government is trying to do. Now, Jane and her colleagues and Peter Dutton have talked a big game on migration, But when it came time to come into the Parliament and support the bill, they've said, oh no, we don't want to have anything to do with this. So it is totally hypocritical. The Liberals have shown themselves to be complete frauds on this matter this week. We're a government with a clear plan to bring migration rates down, and we will do that by hook or by crook, whether or not Peter Dutton comes with us.
OK, I'm just a bit confused because the Australian Bureau of Statistics has got permanent and long-term arrivals from January to September this year, 391,850. That's apparently the highest figure for that period to date. So that's the highest we've ever got for that sort of figure. And your goal was 260 for the whole year. So is it coming down? What are you talking about from now on?
It is coming down, Nat, and the
now.
numbers are showing us that. We would like those. We would like
Which
those
numbers
numbers
are
to come back
showing
down
that then?
further, and that is exactly why we've got this policy in place to cap the number of international students coming into our country. And Nat, talk to any immigration expert that you like. This is the biggest driver of what has increased about immigration numbers in recent years.
So
the Liberals had an attitude of just let it rip on international education. We're trying to bring those numbers back in, but the Liberals are saying they won't support it. And it'll be really good to hear from Jade now about what her justification is for that. All we hear from the Liberals is no, no, no. Good policies that we are putting forward get shut down by Peter Dutton's angry, aggressive attitude, and he's just got to stop it. It's not the way for us to solve
Your
the
defence
important
is clear
problems.
because this blew out of control under you.
Just a sec,
That's why
Jane.
you're defensive.
There's figure from the ABS, which they seem to be the people that count things, OK? It's just we've just got the highest ever. Is that an incorrect figure? And are you voting against the intake?
So, in fact, the net overseas migration has blown out to 1 million people over 2 years. Now, that is a record number. And it's about 70% higher than any other 2-year average. That's quite extraordinary. That happened not just under Labor, but it happened under you, Clare. That happened under your watch. The student intake, international students, yes, we've said that we will cut back into international students. But the problem is the way that the Labor government have gone about this is piecemeal. They haven't actually addressed the problems underneath. There are so many different visa categories, and the visa system is what's broken. Students are now moving on to temporary visas. They're waiting for decisions about whether they can change courses, move courses. There's still 30,000 COVID worker visas out there. This has been allowed to run out of control under Labor. We've said that we will bring permanent migration, cut that by 25%. And that's because we're a proud migrant nation. There is no doubt about that. We want international students.
I think that's the
but
take home.
At some point, we've got to take a breather. Our services are stretched. Our housing system is in crisis.
Exactly.
We've got to be able to play catch-up because it's been allowed to run out of control, not just under Labor, but under you, Clare.
OK, thank you both. We have got to go. And look, that's just really hard to understand, I can tell you, for most Australians, because you can't get a house.